A tour of Smart Science Next Generation, the new Science Lab platform being launched by Smart Science Education. So let's go ahead and enter our username and password and get signed in. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and pick out a lab that we would like to try. For the sake of this demonstration, we're just going to pick the first lab called Simple Graphs. Smart Science currently has over 250 labs from grades 3 to 12 and advanced placement science classes. Once you enter the lab, you'll notice the Smart Science 5E lesson plan at the top of the screen. As well, one of the features that we're really proud of is the language translation for accessibility. Let's go ahead and see the beginning of this lab in Spanish. As you notice, all the different parts translate, including the instructions, the tabs, everything. Let's go ahead and put this back in English, and we'll go ahead and continue with the tour of the lab. Now, the first part of every Smart Science lab is called the Engage page. And with the Engage, we're going to have a brief lab description telling students about what they're doing in this lab, followed up by some warm-up questions. One of the cool features of the Smart Science system is with the warm-up questions, if you answer a question incorrectly, for example, this graph of tree growth over time, if I say the tree is getting smaller, it gives me a hint. Wrong direction, the tree is growing up. 5 seconds later, I can try again. Let's go ahead and press bigger. The tree is getting taller at the same time as time moves ahead. And that's right. You can see by the green color and the check mark when I answered the question. So now I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of my warm-up quiz. And this is the new action button in Smart Science. This button in the lower right-hand corner is where we're going to take action. In this case, we're going to review the quiz questions. It's going to grade them. Do I wish to continue? I'm going to press OK. And we're going to get results back. If I did answer a question, it will either be red or green. Red for wrong, green for right. There's a green one. If I didn't answer, you're going to see the blue, which is indicating that I did not answer that question. Let's go ahead and proceed to explore and try the lab part of the Smart Science system. Now, for every lab in Smart Science, we're going to have a brief description with some maybe diagrams of equipment or different type of lab apparatus used. We're also going to have a guideline teaching the student briefly how to do the lab. In this case, we're going to click on top of a person's head, and there's a picture. And now we can get into the actual lab itself. How does speed affect graph slope is our central question. So we have an opportunity to pick a hypothesis that we'd like to test. Now, teachers may allow students to write their own hypotheses, but we're going to pick from a list here. So I'm going to say if the person who's faster, then the line gets steeper or higher. This seems logical to me, but other people might pick other hypotheses and try to test them. Once a hypothesis is picked and it gets into that green box right there, now we can go ahead and pick experiments and try to support our hypothesis with evidence or data. If I pick the first one called walk, we're going to go ahead and play that video of walk, and there you see a girl walking down the beach. Now, once this video is finished, now we move into the measuring phase. Notice watch and measure. So I'm just going to do what it says, click on top of the walking person's head. And one of the nice improvements in the new Smart Science Next Generation platform is that the videos and measuring component will advance automatically. As well, it's laying those dots right on the graph for me very nicely. And I get a chance to see that graph evolve as I measure. Now notice when I finished that set of data, it told me to click the Save button, which is in this little action at the bottom right. We can either save or you can reset and measure again. Let's go ahead and save this one. And now we're going to see a red walk line or graph there on the right. Okay, let's try another one. I'm going to go ahead and press jog. And let's play the jogging video. There goes the girl jogging across the screen. And now let's go ahead and measure. So I'm going to be a little sloppy and just click around the screen a little bit. Now you did notice that reset button down here. So let's go ahead and just press reset. The girl comes back to the beginning and we go again. Very convenient. We did not have this in the legacy Smart Science platform. So this is one of the great advantages of Smart Science Next Generation. Really easy to measure and remeasure until you master each of the different graphs and feel like you have a nice, beautiful graph to present in terms of your data. I'm going to go ahead and save this jogging graph. And just quickly, let's put walk and jog on the same graph paper. Look at that. You'll notice very easily that and clearly that jog is above walk. You can even go ahead and mouse over some of the points. Let's say at 3 seconds, how many meters, what is the distance that each of those two motions has traveled? That kind of stuff is very simple and easy to do with this new Smart Science. Well, with 2 graphs measured, I think it's time to move on. Let's go ahead and proceed on to our evaluate. Couple nice things here. We do start with a little guideline where it tells you what's going to happen if you answer the questions. There's our hypothesis. And if I click that little all button, I can see all the graphs I've made so far. Now, at any time, your students may go back to Explore and do more measuring. And they can even go and do their lab report before the quiz. They can even do the extra credit before the lab report or the quiz. All of the different evaluation options are now available, whether it be this quiz right here or whether you want to write about the lab first. That's your choice as a student. You can do this whatever direction you feel is best. I'm just going to go ahead and answer a few of these quiz questions. Let's get down to the bottom, about 10 of them. I'm going to go ahead and submit my answers and get results back. Again, I can see if I got some right with green. Okay, red would be wrong and blue is a no answer. There's even a little summary that kind of tells you a little about what you did in this lab and what you should have learned from doing it. Now let's move on to the explain. Again, one of the highlights of Smart Science is the ability to quickly and easily write a focused lab report with some nice bullet pointed questions. There's an introduction, what was the exploration about and what we're trying to discover, a procedure, how do we collect data, a results section about the meaning of our data, noting errors, and lastly, we want to make a conclusion. This is really the point of Smart Science, is the scientific methodology is very strongly presented in every one of our labs. So we're really asking the students to analyze their choice of hypothesis and how their graphs and data support or oppose your hypothesis. And research has shown for over 150 years of science education that that is one of the most important things to getting students to remember and keep knowledge, skills, and process of science, is to get them to work with hypotheses very closely. So that is the focus here in this lab report. I'm going to write the word conclusion in the lab report box, and then I'm going to go ahead and just review that. Notice also at the bottom here there is a download PDF button. We still have that function of getting a hard copy PDF of the lab report if you'd like it. And let's go ahead and submit our answers and move on to that extra credit. So we do have an extra credit question within each Smart Science lab with some focused boxes where they can write up their conclusions of that extra credit. Let's go back to home. And that was a quick tour of the new Smart Science Next Generation. Really appreciate all of you coming along and watching that with me and getting really excited about our launch here this summer. Again, this is Smart Science. I'm Ed, and thank you so much. We'll see you soon.